I'm here to talk about ever-increasing role of DNS domain names into a variety of applications and protocols, and then to follow that up with, I believe, a need for standards and best practices in terms of integrating DNS domain names with a variety of applications and protocols responsibly. We all know this, DNS domain names have been used for decades, and we are seeing a variety of new use cases even within the emerging technologies such as blockchains and artificial intelligence and decentralized social media platforms, to name a few. And it's really not surprising given the value that the domain names have provided with all these functionalities and the resiliency for the last 35 years. Which is unparalleled. So I'm really here to talk about responsible DNS integration. So what I mean by responsible DNS integration is being able to use your DNS domain name in an integrated application or a protocol, whereby extending the utility that the domain name provides for a consistent user experience, and at the same time extending the security, stability, and reliability of DNS into the integrated application or the protocol. But for responsible DNS integrations, there are several considerations. And given the time, I'm just going to focus on domain name lifecycle. Let me quickly give you an example. So assume that there is a W3C verifiable credential, right, that's issued to a subject that's a W3C DID, DNS, which is a domain name. So how do we think about this particular verifiable credential when the domain name expires, or the domain name is deleted, or the domain name is transferred from one registrant to another? Blue Sky is another example of a decentralized social media that allows you to use your DNS domain name as a social media handle. Well, you could ask the same questions for this integration. GitHub is another use case which has organizations, and you can associate your organization's domain name with GitHub organization, and after you prove control of the domain name, you get the verified badge on the organization page within GitHub, right? And so that builds trust with your end users. Again, you can ask the same questions: what happens when the domain name gets deleted or transferred or expires? And so I can go on and on about these use cases. Blockchains are using domain names for identifying digital wallets. And really what we're seeing is domain names being used as your universal identifier for all the use cases, a variety of use cases on the web. But the challenge is that these integrations do not always take into account all the considerations that we are talking about, that we have listed here. And of course, that leads to security and stability issues on the internet. And so we've been socializing our research and measurement studies that we have published at a variety of venues. And so if you're interested in digging deeper, I would highly recommend you to look into these slides and research papers. So why I'm here? Well, I want to work with you, collaborate together with the community to build these standards for responsible DNS integration so that we avoid security and stability issues on the internet. Thank you.